Hi there, and welcome to the RevOps show, where we cut through the noise and get real about what it takes to accelerate revenue and lead with clarity. In today's episode, we're digging into how most companies are drastically underutilizing the one system they rely on most, their CRM. If your CRM is basically a logging tool or a contact graveyard, you're leaving a ton of performance on the table. Doug and Jess break down how to shift your CRM from a paper train to a real-time performance management engine. The kind that drives coaching, better decisions, and scalable growth. So with that, let's get into it.
Jess.
Doug.
What is going on?
So many things. So many things.
Okay, there's nowhere for me to go with that, Jess.
How are you?
How am I? What day is it? Is there a day that doesn't end in Y? Because if there is, that's what today is.
Oh, okay. Wow. We're off to a great start. Start.
It's been I would say it's been a whirlwind, but can it be a whirlwind if it
doesn't stop?
If it doesn't stop?
No. I think technically not.
A whirlwind and a whirling dervish. They're basically the same thing, aren't they?
I have never heard of a whirling dervish before. This is the first. This is the first.
Heard of a whirling dervish?
Wow.
Oh no, it is not. They have nothing to do with each other. Wow, that's completely not what I thought it was.
Practitioner of Sufism, a mystical branch of Islam known for the ritualistic dance called the Sama.
There you go. A counterclockwise symbolizing the no. So I guess they're not. Wow, holy cow! Can we edit that out, please?
No, that's got to stay in.
I'm okay maybe on a blooper reel, but wow, that was not at all what I thought it was.
It's an exciting week, Doug. Do you know why? Tomorrow's an exciting day.
Tomorrow,
for me in particular. Do you know why?
Is tomorrow your anniversary?
No,
Yeah,
that's August.
Right?
That's in August. That's in August. No, this is way more exciting.
Wow, I don't know.
Tomorrow is opening night for the Sphere in Vegas.
Of Wicked 2?
No, Backstreet Boys.
Oh, are you going?
And I'm not going tomorrow. I'm going in 3 weeks.
Okay.
And the new album, the restored album from 1999 re-releases tomorrow. And I'm going to get all my merch tomorrow, hopefully.
Did you get me merch?
I did not get you merch. I did not think you would want a Backstreet Boys t-shirt, but if you would like one, I will get you. I have, because of the package I bought, I have exclusive access into some kind of venue where they're selling things and doing like a TRL recreation set and all kinds of shit. So, yeah.
And this is going to be in the in the Globe,
Sphere.
right?
It's in the Sphere, Las Vegas. Yep.
Globe, the Sphere.
Yep.
At least I had the right shape. I'm clearly off today.
Yep. It's okay. We're going to get you back. It's in the Sphere. Yes.
So I know one person who saw U2 in the Sphere, and he told me that he got, at one point during the show, he was feeling motion sick.
I am going to be bringing Dramamine and wearing the patches that I wear when I go on cruise ships and ride. Yeah, no, I'm prepared for being motion sick.
I've heard it's insane. I've heard it's just completely insane.
I'll report back.
There aren't a lot of venues that I'm like, wow, I would definitely go out of my way to go there, but that would be one.
So Juan is actually like not a Backstreet Boys fan at all, obviously. He's a little bit upset, my husband Juan, that I'm going before, because he's such a musicophile. Like, it's just like such an audiophile.
Is he a Fish fan?
He's not a Fish fan. He's a Tool fan, which is a cousin to a Fish fan. I mean, it's the same breed. Same breed.
Because Fish was just doing their residency at the Sphere.
Well, so like I can't
imagine a Fish show at the Sphere. I
can't imagine a Tool show either because of all their visual. I've been to one, and
it would be like a Grateful Dead show,
right? Well, and Grateful Dead were there, I think. So,
well, not
pretty
the real.
Sure. Right. But the whatever they are now was So, it would be like that, and that's what he's he's a little bit tweaked about it.
So let's go back to the 1999 re-release.
Yes, of the Millennium album.
Why don't you just listen to the Millennium?
They've restored all of the tracks. We're getting the B-sides from Europe, so I can actually listen to them on Spotify instead of YouTube now.
You can't listen to them on Spotify right now?
No, because different region.
What about iTunes Music? I bet you can get them on iTunes Music.
You can't. No, they're not available. I've looked.
You can get everything on iTunes Music.
You cannot get those on iTunes. I'm telling you, can't get them.
I know that's not true.
Okay.
Do you have iTunes Music?
I do.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, search for them and you cannot find these songs. Maybe because they were B-sides. I don't know. I had them on CD way back when. And I'm upset at myself that I don't have my friend. I had a friend who lived in Germany who used to send me the CDs from over there. And I'm mad at myself that I didn't hold on to them. I would have no way to play them, but I'm mad at myself about it. So
you're obviously you're getting a shirt.
I'm getting at least one shirt. It was a blur. I don't remember what I bought. It's going to be a little bit of a surprise when you get there. Not gonna lie.
You were delirious. You were back in your teenage.
And I'm getting the double album. I know I bought that.
Do you have a turntable, a working turntable?
We do. Yeah. I have
I have multiple turntables. None of them are hooked up.
I have the Hamilton album.
Oh wow!
And I have the Wicked album. So all of my albums are Broadway shows. And then I have like the Hamilton, the one where I can't. The name's escaping me right now, but where they did like the remixes. I've got that on vinyl. And then I will have Backstreet Boys. Juan has an extensive vinyl collection.
Right,
that's why we have a turntable. Yeah.
So did you get a beanie?
They didn't have beanies. And I'm not a beanie I don't think I own a beanie.
No beanies at all? Wow.
No.
Did you get a tour jacket?
They did not have that available online. I bought the jacket last time I saw them, so I don't know if I'm going to do it again. We'll see what it looks like.
Did you get a sweatshirt?
I did not get a sweatshirt.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, what else is there? I guess you got to...
I had to wait for when I'm there because they're going to have different merch there. This merch is related to the album release. Then they're going to have specific Sphere merch, I'm sure. This is all... So the merch they released, I mean, they're just like plugging into my millennial... I want to be 15 again. I mean, all of the re-release is the stuff that was at the concert. And I saw this show twice in 99. So it's like just literally me trying to relive being 15 again. That's what we're doing. That's where we're at.
With a bigger allowance.
With adult money.
Yep.
With adult money.
15 with adult money. Alrighty, so Backstreet Boys launch tomorrow. And then I'll see the show in 3 weeks. I'll report back. It's going to be your 9th year anniversary?
That's a bigger deal than my 9th anniversary here. Sorry, Doug.
Not to me, Jess. Not to me, Jess. To me, there's only a handful of things that could be bigger than
thank you.
Your 9th anniversary.
Well, thank you.
So what are we talking about today? Because I'm assuming the subject of today was not the Backstreet Boys re-release.
It was not. Though we could talk for another hour about it if you'd like.
I could probably go another 15 minutes. I don't know that I could keep the conversation going for an hour.
All right. That is not what we're talking about today, though. Today, we're going to talk about going from a static database to transforming your CRM into a performance management platform. That's what we're going to talk about today.
We are going to remix some content today. That is what we're doing. So if you're interested in more on this, there's a blog post, and that's what's motivating this conversation specifically. But there was also a webinar that we did a couple months ago. So talking about utilizing CRM as a performance management platform. So let's remix some content.
All right. So let's start with, can you explain what is a static database? Let's start there. And then I want to talk about what is a performance management platform.
Well, let's rather than calling it a static database, let's call it a static CRM.
Okay.
What's a static CRM? Probably, look to your left, look to your right. Two of you have a static CRM, right? A CRM with a static database is basically used to log data. It's you've got a database, you have contacts, there's information in there. The data is typically reasonably trustworthy. It may be clean, it may not be clean, but it's not. The difference is kind of, why are you doing CRM? Are you doing CRM? Are you judging CRM on performance? Is CRM supposed to drive improved performance? Is it supposed to enable greater sales management, greater sales acceleration, greater marketing penetration, et cetera? Or are you using it, as a logging system to, if you think about it in ERP, are you using your CRM? And it's amazing to me. I must have had 10, 15 conversations in the last 2 to 3 weeks about companies that are using, that don't have real CRM in place. They're frustrated with their, they've been trying to use their ERP as their CRM. And the thing that's sad as we bring up this conversation is how many people move to a CRM, and between implementation and spend, the research that I found is $20 billion spent annually on CRM. It's probably more than that, actually. But and how many people use it, like the ERP for sales? I
mean, you kind of touched on it. So what is a performance management platform? Like, what does that look like?
So I just looked up, I just typed in what is performance management into Google. Wow. Performance management is a continuous process that aligns individual and team efforts with organizational goals, focusing on setting expectations, providing feedback, and developing employees to improve performance and achieve strategic objectives. It's more than just annual reviews. It's a cycle of planning, monitoring, developing, and evaluating performance throughout the year. That's a pretty good definition. How about that? Google, you go. Key components, goal setting, ongoing feedback. This is a Gemini response here. Goal setting, ongoing feedback, development, performance evaluation, recognition and awards, continuous improvement. That is what performance management is. Is your CRM... Are you viewing your CRM? Are you leveraging your CRM? Is your CRM being utilized as a performance management tool? Is it the platform for your go-to-market performance management? Like, the number of times that people, we look at the data, we look at the dashboards, and like, well, that's not right.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then we shared. There's lots of examples where there's a consistency and a normalization of data that goes across. One of the most common things that we see that's a sign of a static database is opportunities get logged inconsistently, and by inconsistently I mean they get logged inconsistently. I.e., there are opportunities that never get logged.
Yep.
But also when they get logged is highly variant. And so when you're looking at, when you're trying to figure out things like win rate and sales cycle times, et cetera, that's the other thing that's, I laugh at sometimes with all the data out there about win rates and sales cycle times, et cetera. My question is always, where's the data coming from that's being used to make this analysis? Because is that really data that you can count on? Do you really know what your win rate is?
Yeah. While we're on the topic of logging, so in the blog post, you actually talk about it being the catch-22 of CRM. Can you break down why people get trapped in the logging mindset? That's what you call the catch-22 of CRM. It becoming just a logging trap.
I mean, I don't agree. I would not agree with this, but I would say it's a legitimate decision to say, we don't need CRM to be a performance management platform. We just need CRM to know, what's happening. We just need things logged. We just want to know what our win rate is. We just want to know, right? The catch-22 is, and Jess, you and I have talked about, we talked about it so often, we haven't talked about it in a couple of years, probably. The four most dangerous words preceding a CRM implementation is all I need is. Well, that logging mindset, and if you take a look at, okay, well, from a management perspective, what do we need?
Right.
It's very easy to fall into the all I need is.
Right.
Right. You oftentimes don't need a lot. And so the way CRM got built, because it was built initially from a manager's perspective down, especially modern CRM is built from management down. The catch-22 is if all you do is build for logging, you're not going to get logging. You're not going to get the logging that you want. Right. You've got to build for use. You've got to build it to be a performance management accelerator. And maybe that's really what maybe we should call it a PMAP, a performance management acceleration platform. Right. It's more than just measuring your performance. Is your CRM accelerating performance?
So how do you get out of that logging trap and shift into that performance management acceleration platform? How do you make that shift? What does that look like in action?
The first thing you have to do is you have to map your business process, right? This is where, again, we talk about the fact that, CRM is not a solution. Technology is not a solution. The business process needs to drive the CRM. So, back to the prime directive, what is the business process, right? Where are things going? How should the sale work? And by the way, we actually need to map it. Ultimately you want to map the end-to-end experience. One of the elements of a performance management acceleration platform is it provides a clear picture and provides a platform for the end-to-end experience, both internally and externally, right? So it leads to a cohesive customer experience. It leads to a cohesive employee experience for those people that are involved on the go-to-market side. We talk about end-to-end experiences a lot. But our mapping is, well, we find the customer. It's like baseball. See the ball, hit the ball. Well, we find a customer, and then we settle the customer, and then we win the customer, and then we serve the customer. Right. It's like, okay, well, that's not mapping the process. What is happening? What is supposed to happen? How do things work? Where are there low value friction points that need to be eliminated? Where are there high value friction points that need to be supported? Where are there opportunities to utilize AI to accelerate and streamline the process? Where are there opportunities, to utilize AI, but put some governors on it to make sure that we're not letting AI run the show? It starts off really with a mapping your business process. From there, that's when you choose your platform architecture. So what are you going to use? Are you going to go with what I refer to as a vertical tech stack? That's a nice tight tech stack, looking for a central tool to be the platform, or are you going to go with more of a horizontal tech stack? Yep. Multiple point solutions, kind of specializing your tech stack. I think understanding the complexity of your go-to-market process is a big piece to determining what's there. What resources do you have to support? One of the things that we see that's a trap is, are your eyes bigger than your stomach? You've got big vision, you have big CRM vision, but you don't have the resources to support that. So you bring in this really complicated structure or setup, but you don't have the so you end up. The best way to look at it, and I'm sorry, I try to keep this brand agnostic, but there are so many Salesforce implementations that I see that are like the teenager wearing their dad's suit.
What do you mean by that?
It's too big in some places. It looks
doesn't
awkward.
Quite fit.
Have you ever seen a 16-year-old with a tie? It doesn't matter. It doesn't, with just very, very rare exceptions, it never looks right. There's just something about being 16 years old, right? And so there's that aspect of you're wearing this big, like the suit's great, right?
Right.
But it doesn't hang right on the individual, and there are just so many implementations that we see like that, or the 16-year-old still wearing their suit from when they were 13 or 14, and the pants only go down to about just above the ankle, and all that. I can't How's that for? How's that for a metaphor you didn't have on your bingo card today?
Yeah, exactly. We got to have at least one every episode.
Right. So you've got to right size the platform architecture to what your business need and what your business capability is.
Yeah. So mapping your business process, choosing the right platform architecture. How do you make sure that once you've got your system or systems identified, that they're built for use and not for luck? Like, we've talked about this a little bit in the past, but how do you set that up so that way you're driving a utilization mindset versus that logging trap that we've talked about?
Well, I think when you're mapping your business process, you need to be thinking about mapping it. And again, you need to map the end-to-end experience, but you also need to map the front to back, right? So there's almost a 3D element to what you're mapping here. So you've got to map your front stage activities, what's happening with the customer, your backstage activities, what are the internal processes that are supporting that, and then also your support processes. What are the things that are in place that support those backstage elements? So then the next thing that you need to do is, and it's become super trite, but it's the only term to quickly sum this up, is how do you bring everything into a single pane of glass? How do you give me one interface to work with, right? The more interfaces that I have to work with, the less likely I'm going to use any of them consistently or regularly, the less likely I'm going to master it.
Yep.
So if I have to go out, how many times are you in your house and you're like, oh, I need such and such. And it's like, oh, it's in the other room. And you're like, never mind. Right. It's just enough friction that you don't do it. So what you're looking at here is, what do I need to know? So one example is, are you selling in competitive markets, right? Where's your competitive information? If your competitive information isn't in the CRM, then it's a pretty good bet no one's accessing your competitive information, right? Bring it into the CRM. Bring your battle cards into the CRM, right? It's identifying what are common use cases. One of the key places that we see, salespeople weren't hired for their writing capabilities, and it takes a long time to write something well.
Right. Yep.
Why aren't we building out? Why aren't we identifying what the top 10, 20, 50 questions that we get and providing, pre-written answers, pre-written responses that reps can adjust or customize? Right. But now it becomes a core part of that. Where are they going to quote? How do we bring the quoting process into the tool? Like all those things, what are people doing? And how do we bring the doing into a single pane of glass?
I think there's another piece here too when we talk about built for use. That's super important that I think has a tendency to get glossed over because we spend all this time, right? We build, we're proud, it looks great, and it's a strong user acceptance process where you actually have a rep, a account manager, a service person run through the process in the system. Because to your point about, I agree with you on single pane of glass. I think the other piece where this falls apart is if things are not in a place that makes sense to the person who's actioning it, like something as simple as the order of fields in a view totally throws off a rep, and they're like, well, just screw it. I'll just put it in my I'll put it back in my spreadsheet because my spreadsheet's in the right order. Like I think that's a piece where, again, you have somebody who is your CRM admin who might be providing direction, or a sales ops person. And yeah, they know the data inputs we need, but they're not living the day to day. So making sure that you've got stakeholders in there, that's like your final step in my mind for setting something up for use, is making sure that it's in a order and a flow that makes sense to the user. I think that goes to like mapping out that backstage process that you talked about as well. But I think like that's where I see those things break down a lot.
Yeah. And that's the tracking and feedback. This is, and it's funny. I talk about this in the revenue acceleration framework. By the way, I'm doing the next painful part of this. So, I spoke out the entire book.
Yes.
For the audio recording. Well, now I'm doing quality review, I'm listening to it. So I'm now listening to
you myself. Have to listen to yourself.
Will this guy ever just? And holy cow, what were we just talking about?
Making sure you have a strong user acceptance process and the order of things.
Oh, compliance, right?
Yeah.
It's looking at compliance not through the lens of you must comply, but looking at, okay, where are we not getting compliant? Where is it not being used? Why is it not being used? What's the how of it not being used? So I think that there's a user acceptance testing, but I think there's also, one of the things that's good to do if, we talk about marketing should spend a day with sales. RevOps should spend a day with sales, right? Or even just say, hey, you know what? Jess, here's what I'd like you to do. Your next your next calling session, your next whatever session, I just want you to get on and record your screen, right? And send me, and send me, let me see how you're doing what you're doing. Let me see just kind of over the course of it, how are you doing those things, understanding that, making it easy for that feedback and building that iterative approach. Those are all things that drive better performance.
And I have one more thought on this, and it's probably recency bias because I'm in this issue in a couple of places. But so in addition to that, also don't give me too many options. So we were meeting with a client, and I see this happen frequently where they were like, well, there's 4 places I could refresh this. They need one, because the problem is I'm clicking all these places. Joe's going here, Bob's going here. They're talking to each other and being like, well, that's not where I go. And now it's like the users get so frustrated by that. It's at a point where it's like, screw it. We got another client where it's like, well, they could quote this way, but they could quote that way. And I'm like, no. What's the way we're quoting? You need to give, especially sales reps, but this falls under service too, honestly. You need to give them the way. What's the way we're doing it?
Yeah, it's a balance, because if you give someone too much choice, it's debilitating.
Yeah.
I think that there are places where, again, choice is friction. So you've got to ask yourself where's the value here, and have that determine what that choice element is.
Yeah. Next, I want to talk about a little bit about how does reporting and measurement feed into this? Like, how do you kind of structure your reporting to drive that utilization and that action in the CRM?
You can't have strong reporting if you don't have strong business process. And is it possible to have strong business process without the processes being mapped? It's possible. It's probably more a result of luck, but it would be hard to then translate that process into other things. So again, that goes back to why your process mapping is so important. Could I fly from point A to point B without a map? I probably could. It's theoretically possible. Would I consider doing that? No. So it kind of falls into that same place. So in there, what you have to understand is, again, what are your leading indicators? What are your lagging indicators? I think we have a tendency to over measure lagging indicators. I think what you really need to do is keep your, to really make CRM a performance management tool. It's, the question that I always ask is, okay, what are you going to do with this information? And by the way, if you don't use the information, then that information won't be logged. You really have to focus reporting on action. If you think about it from whether you're looking for forecasting, you want good analytics, they stem from good process. It's not the other way around, right? Good process doesn't come from good forecasting. Good forecasting is the result of good process, right? So I think it's about measuring those key elements. What problems or opportunities need attention? Are we on course? Are we off course? If we're off course, are we ahead? Are we behind? What are, allow places to dive in. I think that the most common mistake around reporting today is we just over report on things.
Yep.
And I would encourage you to listen to any of the episodes we've had on reporting. We talk about that a good deal.
Yeah, that was actually going to be one thing I was going to throw out to you. Like how I'm curious how you manage this. What if you have someone or several managers who they want let's call it their pet metric on the dashboard that they feel like is super important, but isn't really going to drive action, isn't necessarily tied to KPIs. I see this with sales managers sometime where it's kind of like they just really want it on a dashboard. They want to really be able to see it. Like, how do you manage that if it's like, okay, this is great that you want to see this, but this isn't going to help the overall business, or this isn't going to help, drive action?
That's a good question. I think that, so I think pet metrics are symptomatic of there being a lack of clear process, right? And so there's an element that's there. So I think it's a sign, although it's not always the case, because this is the place where theory gets in the way of practice.
Yeah.
Well, my brain stopped working. I put you asked me the question and you just like stroked a whole stream of empathy, because I put myself in the sales manager role. And Jess, what's the likelihood I would be one of those sales managers that would have my pet metrics? And
I've never seen that happen before here.
Comfort is an important part of the tool. And so there's an element where I think like I would still go through the process. And we just had this conversation I was just involved with this on this conversation with a client. They were asking, will we be able to create our own reports, or and they're using HubSpot, and one of the great things about HubSpot is it's easy to do these things. So like the danger is you've got 40 some different sales teams, right? You've got 100 some odd salespeople. And so this person wants this, that person wants that. I think that you run into this. Suddenly you're not looking off of one. Like, are we all looking at a source of truth? Are we all looking at the same sheet music? But I do think that there's a place for those pet metrics and reports. I think that when somebody says, I want 20 of them, that, there's a problem there. But I think that, if a sales manager has a reason and there's something that they like to keep track of, and this is how they're using it, and I would say, how does this impact your ability to lead or manage your sales team? What are you unable to do if you don't have that? Those would be now. By the way, I'd be asking that question as much to find places to improve. It might sound initially like I'm trying to dissuade that person from having that report, but I think that there needs to be flexibility. Just like every salesperson is, there's not only one way to use the CRM. It has to be built for multiple ways to use. I think the same thing is true for reporting. So I think that's where the art of reporting design comes in. And again, the goal is performance acceleration. The goal is not we met the 17 rules of a good dashboard.
Yeah. Well, it's like we say on CRM, right? We're not trying to win the award for best CRM implementation.
Right. We're not seeking blue ribbon awards here.
Right. So the last piece I think that you talk about in the post is always be launching, which we've talked about at length on here. My question for you on that though is how do you balance stability with continuous improvement? How do you keep a stable system while continuing to iterate and improve upon your CRM?
Give me a little bit more to the question.
So
what's behind the question, Jess?
Recent clients, recent client issues. How do you maintain a stable system from the aspect of little user disruption, keeping the users but iterating so you can keep the users engaged and keep the excitement going? Like how do you continually improve and relaunch your CRM without providing too much disruption to the team where you end up with negative friction around the changes?
So there are 3 phases to a CRM implementation. There's your launch phase, there's your steady state phase, and then there's your ongoing phase.
Yep.
I think one of the challenges is that, the client that you're talking about right now is in the steady state phase. So that there's an aspect of that there are things that are being fixed. I think that there are, I think the danger is like when you launch, everything's behind a curtain and you go, okay, everybody, now it's ready. And we train you on it. And we're good to go. I think then we start changing things as people are using them and we fall behind, or we don't train, or we don't. And so someone comes in and suddenly this is different. And I think that when you do that and then you fix another thing, it's a very fine line between fixing things and relaunching things. And I think that's why an always be launching doesn't mean that you're launching every day. Maybe you're doing monthly launches. Maybe in some cases you're doing weekly launches. But I think that one of the, when you're aware that something's not right, you have this urgency. We've got to get it fixed. We've got to get it fixed. We've got to get it fixed. And it's easy to lose sight of, well, the reality is it hasn't been working for the last 3 years. Is one more month really going to make, is that the deal breaker?
Right.
Now there's we've got to get this to them. We've promised it. We've got to get this to them. Right. But I think batching those together. And then I also think that there needs to be an ongoing training and comms plan.
Yeah.
Right. How are we informing people? How are we letting people know? What does that look like? Where does that feel? I think that there's a place where, it's always be launching, not always be fixing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, group your fixes together.
Yep. All right. I want to ask you about the CRM maturity, which again, we've talked about before here, but how does that play into kind of those key steps that we've talked about that you need to take to move to the performance platform?
So we've got the model in the show notes. It's also in the blog post. Basically level 0 and 1 are completely disconnected systems, silos. Level 2 gets you to your logging. So the static CRM maxes you to a level 2 on the CRM maturity model. The challenge there is the CRM is, at level 2, the CRM is a drag on performance, right? Because it's a logging tool. It's one more thing that I have to do, right?
Yep.
It hopefully helps you moderately improve your strategy, et cetera. But again, the problem with level 2 is the very best level 2 is managing your business by looking through the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
Level 3 is where you get into this crossover. So you're beginning to level 4 is it's you're now providing it. It is a key data driven, go forward, managing the customer experience. You've got an end to end picture. You've got that view. And the level 5 is essential to the overall customer experience, right? To get to the place where CRM is a performance accelerator, you've got to be to a level 4, level 5.
Yeah.
Now you can't go from level 1 to level 4 in one step.
Right.
Right. That's another mistake that we see people make, because you won't have the depth that's needed. You won't have the resiliency or the robustness that's needed to sustain what goes on in real life. But so the maturity model is a way to look at, okay, where are we? And I think where you find most companies is, you're probably looking at, 90% of companies are level 0, 1, or 2.
Yeah.
Right. The number of completely disconnected systems out there still, blows me away.
Same. I've got kind of my key takeaways. Was there anything else we didn't cover that you wanted to make sure we spoke to on this topic?
No, I think we covered it all.
Okay, cool. So my key takeaways are really, make sure you pay attention to the 5 actions you need to take. So map your business process, choose your platform architecture, make sure you're paying attention to building for use and those steps we talked about there. Focus on action when you're building your reporting, and focus on your business process when you're building your reporting. And then always be launching. And I like what you said, Doug, about always be launching, not always be fixing. Because that's really hard when you're in the thick of it, right? It's hard to do that. But totally agree with that.
Yeah, it's creating order from chaos.
Yep.
And it's making something more proactive and more of an advance, less of a fallback.
Yep.
Right. There's lots of avenues and the challenge that you have is once the CRM is live, it's a central tool to everybody, and a change on the outside has unknown consequences. That's what you're always managing against. That's what you have to be careful about.
Yep.
I think the key is when you look beyond logging and you start thinking of your CRM as central to performance management acceleration. I think that's a key step to saying no to shitty RevOps.
Till next time.
And that's a wrap on this episode of the RevOps Show. Your CRM should be more than a place where data goes. When it's built the right way, it becomes a source of clarity, accountability, and performance. Thanks for listening, and if Doug and Jess stirred up any thoughts or questions, we would love to hear from you. Feel free to reach out to hannah@liftenablement.com for any questions, thoughts, or inquiries about the show. Make sure you follow, rate, and share if the episode got you thinking. We've got more insights coming your way, but until then, keep accelerating and just say no to shitty RevOps.